Hello to all you beautiful people out there. Regnilla over here bringing you the next episode of Monster Hunter Portable Third. In today's episode, we are covering a topic that, frankly, I don't remember if we've covered it on the Portable Third series, and frankly, I'm a little too lazy to go back and check, but today we are covering a dual monster quest. So let's recap for any newbies that might be tuning in today. What is a dual monster quest? Well, it should be pretty self-explanatory. You are facing off against two monsters typically at the same time. And so in this particular case, I'm not just doing any dual monster quest. Instead, I am taking on the Rathalos and Rathian at the same time. And I'm choosing this particular quest as it is what's the word you want to call it? Iconic in a way. And that's because in the original Monster Hunter game, there was the final village quest, which was called a troublesome pair. And it's where you were paired up against a Rathalos and a Rathian that were in the high rank difficulty level, even though at that stage in the game, you are basically... You're basically at a severe disadvantage with your village low rank equipment. So it was a quest that at that point in time, or at least when I had played it, the online function of the PS2 Monster Hunter game was discontinued, and as a result I had to face off against those two using the village equipment and barely won that mission through just the skin of my teeth. And in this particular case, it's not going to be as severe, but I want to come prepared because it's a Rathalos and Rathian at the same time. You don't want to mess around with something like this. And you might be noticing that things don't really sound and line up with the video, and that's because this is post-commentary. I didn't much care for the live commentary that was featured in the original recording of this, which is about half the reason why this video is taking so long to get out. But what you saw there just now was me purchasing a power charm, and this is going to provide me a slight boost in my attack power when I go off on the Heaven and Earth quest right here. And as I mentioned before, this is Rathalos and Rathian, and it's going to be taking place in the deserted island. So when you get into a quest like this, what you need to ask yourself is, what do you want to go after first? Since unlike other dual monster quests, this one is a little bit more unique in that the Rathalos and Rathian actively try to help each other out. So if you trap one of the two monsters, or if you wound it, or if you trip it, the other one is going to notice something's wrong, and then within a few moments, that other monster is going to be in that area with you. And so as a result, you also want to bring some dung bombs with you to make sure that the other monster decides to not want to be around for much longer. And in this particular case, I'm going to go after, I believe it was the Rathian first, and then go after the Rathalos. And in this case, it's going after the weaker one before going after the stronger one. And you can play it two ways. You can make it so that the stronger one, you don't have any distractions from it, or you can make things easier by getting the stronger one out of the way first and then going after the weaker one. Instead, I just want to get Rathian out of the way here, but I can't do that because big old Rathalos decides he wants to pop in as well and say hello, which makes this a lot more complicated. So, don't mess around with this. Just get rid of the other one using a dung bomb, and hopefully they leave soon, because a dung bomb isn't a guarantee that they're going to leave right away. But it is helpful when they do. And so something else that you kind of want to bring with you on quests like these is plenty of traps, and preferably materials to make more traps. You're making a fight against two monsters, so you want to go into this fairly well equipped. Rathian here is going to be for sure the easier of the two, since her moveset tends to be very exploitable or prediction reliant, or predictable, rather. And as a result, you can respond to her attacks pretty effectively. The only time when you really want to be nervous around a Rathian is when she's in the air, because you never know when she's going to use her backflip. That's like the one move of hers that is completely unpredictable. But even then, there are cases where you might be able to actually predict it. Usually, it's whenever she's turning in midair. That's when the problems occur. If she's flying in midair, kind of hovering, and then she turns to face you, almost guaranteed she's gonna follow up with a backflip. It's very scary, and you don't want to be anywhere underneath her or directly in front or behind her, because that's when the tail comes out, and that's when things start to hurt very hard. And in this fight, I'm attempting to aim for the head as much as I can. It's much easier said than done, because it likes to move a lot. But if you notice there, her head just broke and she just fell down. So instantly, I'm suspicious. I'm looking around, just like, where is Rathalos? Because odds are he's noticed something. And when he notices something, he's gonna be following up and just making sure that all's well, even though it most certainly isn't. But for the Rathian at the moment, and then it's definitely not going to be all well for me, because Rathalos is here and things are going to get a lot scarier. And then I think you could just barely see, yeah, there's his shadow. So you gotta go in with your dung bomb, make sure that actually you want him to land first. That's ideally speaking, because if he doesn't have the moment to land, then you don't really have the opportunity to get that dung bomb off. And I don't know what I was thinking, but I decided to get a few shots in on Rathalos while Rathian is busy with Misty. So that's, it's kind of helpful. But I'm tagging him with a paintball as well, just trying to make sure I'm keeping track of him. Don't want to lose him if he decides he wants to fly off to another area, and I either take down Rathian or just wanting to continue on with Rathalos and then decides to leave. Another thing to bring on this quest are, well, items to help with healing poison. So that's one of the various ways that these two can really torment you, is that they can poison you. As we've discussed before, the Rathian, when she hits you with her tail, that is enough to trigger the poison effect, which is very irritating, especially after you get slapped by her tail after she does a backflip for style. So it's pretty frustrating. And with the Rathalos, you get hit by his claws, then that is where you're going to get poisoned from that monster. But thankfully with Rathalos and his poison claws, the attack is a lot more specific. So it's very easy to know when he's going to use a poison attack, and it's even easier to avoid. He typically only uses it when he is hovering in midair, high up, and then he faces your direction. That's when he's either going to do a series of flight paths before a dive bomb, a few fire attacks, or if he's going to use your poison claw, or use his poison claws. And even then, all you got to do is just stay right underneath him, and he won't be able to get that attack off, or at least two of the three. With the if he's flying around, then he's actually actively trying to track and then dive bomb you. And another mistake I did, and that's just in this case, I did not wait for Rathalos to leave, but I'm actively trying to fight two monsters at once, and both my cats are gone. So that's not the smartest move. But all I want to do is just get rid of this Rathian and try to make it so I don't have to worry about Rathalos until later. And naturally, since this is the most predictable thing by either Rathalos or Rathian, as soon as they do a roar going into rage mode, they're going to fly back. In Rathalos' case, he is going to throw out a fireball, so you don't want to be directly in front of him when he does that. But because they fly back, it's your prime opportunity to throw a flash bomb and get them out of the air and onto the ground. and then you have the opportunity to get a bunch more shots in, and it's going to make things a lot easier for you. And with Rathian right now, I think she is about maybe at 4th health left. She's on the weaker side, which gets me into another benefit for you, the player, when you're after 2 monsters at once, is that the health of the monsters are going to be lowered to compensate for a quest like this. The guys over at Capcom wouldn't dare try to make you fight 2 monsters at once with full health, because that is asking for an incredibly difficult, if not impossible, quest. As my earlier example with the high rank Rathalos and Rathian quest might allude to. Since you have the potential of going over time, you don't want to spend forever on a quest, and you just want to get a move on at some points. Then gotta have the monsters with less health, but they have their full attack power as per the rank that they're in. So just because you're facing 2 monsters with lower health doesn't mean this fight is going to be much easier. You're still going to have to deal with the problems that come with fighting 2 monsters at once. Assuming, of course, you're not strategizing and you're not bringing dun bongs and you don't have a method of getting these monsters away from you. So Rathian here is just about over and done with, but her tail is now gone. Keeps her in the area for a little bit longer. That way I have a few extra chances for getting some attacks in. And, well, the Rathalos is also here. And, well, now he's gone. He was here for a moment, but since he doesn't see me, because I'm on the other side of the area as he is, then I don't have to worry about him. He can piece off into Area 2 and not bother anyone. With Rathian almost gone, it makes the Rathalos a lot easier to deal with. I can focus on him in flight and not have to either worry about him interrupting a fight between me and the Rathian, or the Rathian interrupting a fight between me and him. But I believe I'm going to be using, the last flash bomb here and get her onto the ground. And because of that, it's going to attract the Rathalos' attention, and he's going to be here in a matter of moments. And if you look on the minimap, you could just very faintly see, I believe he is going to be opening his wings. Yeah, and it looks like he is on his way over. And in this particular case, I believe I only have a moment to carve the Rathian before Big Daddy Rathalos comes in and starts ruining everyone's day. As for materials that I'm using and bringing on the quest with me, it's pretty obvious. I've been using the same Rathian armor set since I got it. This has been the most reliable set I've come across. And in my opinion, early game, for your average player, this is a great armor set to have. It's I wouldn't necessarily call it versatile, but it definitely has some skills that you want, especially the health increase. And when you are early game in the Monster Hunter world, having that extra boost to health can be a lifesaver, especially since, well, a lot of the food resources that you might have access to, they will give you a small boost in health and stamina, but it's not a big boost. So the health boost skill from a Rathian set helps kind of compensate for the lack of boosts that you get from food and drink items. And let's see, I think I used my my shock trap against the Rathian earlier, and I'm leaving the pitfall trap for Rathalos over here. And I believe I did it because I think the pitfall trap lasts a little bit longer, or at least it is certainly an item that a monster does not grow as much as a resistance to, as opposed to the shock trap. Shock traps are great, they're easy to make. However, when some monster starts becoming resistant to them, it becomes a lot more difficult to use effectively. Pitfall traps, a lot harder to make, and they use up more resources, but I'd say the payoff is just a little bit better. And Rathalos back in rage mode, and thankfully I had that rock wall right behind him, since models, or at least they're not supposed to be clipping through walls. As a result, the Rathalos kind of got caught up on the wall, and I was able to avoid getting blasted again by a fireball. You might have noticed earlier that Rathian was doing her signature like big fire move, and there was at one point took that blow point blank, which gets into another thing I like about this armor set. It's fire resistance. So against these two particular monsters, it's a very nice thing to have in case you're the type that likes to get, well, hit by fireballs. And unfortunately, I don't believe I brought... Oh, looks like I did bring some more materials specifically for pitfall traps, because I like those a little bit better. And, going into another thing about the downsides of a shock trap versus a pitfall trap. The pitfall trap can be overloaded by certain elements. I forget what elements those are off the top of my head, but there are a couple of monsters that can overload and completely destroy a shock trap. Oh, okay, now that I'm thinking correctly, Zinogre specifically. Zinogre has the ability to completely overload and destroy a shock trap when he is fully charged. So if you're up against Zinogre, for more reasons than one, use a pitfall trap, not a shock trap. And now we come to kind of the end of this fight. It's just me versus the Rathalos. Kind of wish I brought some large barrel bomb pluses with me. That would have been nice. It would have been really fun to wake up good old Rathalos with something that just goes kaboom right in his face. But thankfully, he's not going to last too much longer. But he is, I believe he's getting, yeah, there he is, going into rage mode. And hopefully he can get onto the ground before he turns, which is one of the most annoying things about the Rathalos, is when he turns and while he's in midair, you're trying to get him down with a flash bomb. So yeah, prioritize your targets in quests like these, because if you take out the wrong enemy first, then you might be out of resources against the other enemy, or you could just be hassled by that other monster while you're trying to hunt for either the stronger or weaker one that you're initially after. So that's going to do it for me and this video. Thank you all so very much for watching, and if you're interested in any of my other content, be sure to mash on one of the annotations that will be featured at the end of this video, and I will see you all next time. Take care, people.